So good morning, everybody. Have you got an extra jacket on today, or trying to stay cozy with a cup of coffee beside you, or hot chocolate, whatever? It's my real absolute pleasure, really, to introduce Julia Sutton to you. And she is originally from Huntsville, Ontario. Her academic training and career have been focused in environmental restoration. After working in Ottawa for several years with conservation authorities, Julia and her husband purchased their farm in Burks Falls and have been expanding and improving the vegetable gardens over the last 10 years. I know she doesn't look that young or that old, does she? That's what I thought. I thought, my gosh, she must have started when you were 16. Julia is the sole proprietor of Sweet Fern Consulting, and her work has included native plant projects, management of a volunteer stream monitoring program, and an environmental nonprofit fish spawning studies, fish restoration projects, and she has run many workshops over the past 15 years. Over the last few years, Julia has been focused on farming seasonally full-time and helping to create and build a business called Missing Link Adventure Tours, which she co-owns with her husband. She's going to tell us more about that soon. So Julia, welcome to Women to the Power of 10.
Thank you.
And now it's all yours.
Okay, here we go. All right. Everyone see that okay?
It's good.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me here today. I met, in the fall, I met Harriet. We did a friend of mine who also farms in the area. We did a guest booth at the North Bay Farmers Market. And that's where I met Harriet, and she told me about your group and asked me if I'd be interested in presenting. And I definitely was. I think it's awesome that you guys have a group like that. We don't have that in Burks Falls, but maybe at some point. So yeah, just really happy to be here today. Just this shot here is just a shot of one of our farm fields and a little sunflower patch that we do. As Harriet mentioned, I am the sole proprietor of our farm, Santosha Farm, but my husband and I have partnered over the last, we've been in the process really since 2017 of building another business called Missing Link Adventure Tours. There we go. So just a little bit about us. So this is there's my husband, Rob. He's not in on the presentation, but he is basically, I don't know how old he was when he started to bike, but I think he was a small child. So he's basically grown up on a bicycle, loves everything to do with cycling. When he was younger and older as well, he's done a lot of cycling racing. He also did a lot of what's called adventure racing, which is a type of race that is, it's a single event. The hours of the event really vary, but it's really based in orienteering, and then you do different components based on that orienteering. So you have to meet different checkpoints. So you might be in a canoe for a portion of the race, and then on foot, and then on bicycles. So it's really a multi-sport type of race. He's done some coaching, a little bit of certification. Prior to COVID, he did help the Huntsville High School team. He was helping with their Nordic ski team, and he's certified in wilderness first aid. And as for myself, Harriet mentioned, my past experience. I grew up with a family vegetable garden, and I don't know that I appreciated it like I appreciate it now. But that really started, that kind of was the foundation of how I feel about growing vegetables. And when we moved to the farm in 2012, I started my own environmental consulting company, because they're just, in this area, there's not a lot of options for being employed in the environmental field. And then just, throughout my life, growing up in Huntsville, I did a lot of serving, a lot of, customer service type jobs. So I really love the, sort of food and beverage industry, and I like to make people happy by cooking them food and serving it to them. So that's a little bit about me. So when we were living in Ottawa, I knew that I wanted to farm. Prices around the Ottawa area were, more than we could afford. And we started to figure out, what's our next step? How do we move out of the city? And then how do we bring, what Rob loves and what I love together? So that was the formation of Missing Link Adventure Tours, where we can combine, we really wanted to combine growing food, making food, and recreation.
Julia, can you tell me
Huh?
are you probably going to get to this, but Missing Link Adventure Tour is really interesting, a name for this project, so this business.
Yes, so I'll get right into that. So Missing Link Adventure Tours is it started off mainly focused on cycling, but we are going to be, we want to operate year round, so we will incorporate other types of recreation, but really we want to offer self-guided and also guided cycling tours and other recreational experiences, provide a comfortable place for people to stay. And then the idea was to do the food for those people based on what we were producing on the farm, and then what else we could get locally. So a very, sort of seasonal way of producing food and serving it, and also become a bit of a place where people could come and learn. And I think North Bay is similar to our area in that there's a lot of focus on motorized recreation, and we really want to be an area to really help connect people with nature, and also get back to that sort of unmotorized type of recreation as well, and also host workshops. Everything that we do has an ecological focus, so not just in our farm, but also in how we maintain our trails, where we put our accommodation, like when we were building it, what kind of materials we used in our accommodation. So trying to lessen our footprint as much as we could when we were going through that building process. And our farm, uncertified organic, so we don't have any certification to prove that we're organic, but by the photos, we have a lot of wildlife in and around our farm. So I think that definitely speaks for our practices.
It looks like a food forest almost.
I love the little toad. He likes to hang out in the, or she, it hangs out in our caterpillar tunnels where it's nice and warm. So the farm itself, just before I get more into depth in the recreation, the farm itself, so it's an 82-acre farm. It's mainly forested. We have about 10 acres of old field. So it used to be a cattle farm and very few trees. There's a wetland and stream that crosses the property. So we vegetables on, it's about 1.5 acres. We have a crop rotation system, so we're not always growing the full 1.5 acres. So some of it is always under some sort of transition. Another big goal of mine with farming is just to work and collaborate with not just other local farms, but other businesses as well, and just really helping to promote and move that sustainable food system, so growing more, doing more food production in Almaguin Highlands, and linking businesses so that we can, really make it a bit more of a hub of local food and sustainability as well. So for Missing Link Adventure Tours, and the goal of our business is to really help our clients immerse themselves in the activity that they want to do. So we'll work with people, make an itinerary as to what you want to do, and try to incorporate as much of the natural features of the area as possible. So for example, if you wanted to come here and do some cycling in the area, Rob would work with you to figure out, how many kilometers you'd like to do. We want people to be challenged, but we don't want it to be disappointing. We want people to feel, we want people to celebrate once they're done and have had a really good experience. And, as in the North Bay area, we're quite hilly here. So, a certain number of kilometers, if someone's coming from an area where it's fairly flat, setting them up with the same amount of kilometers that they do at home isn't necessarily realistic. So Rob's a really good gauge of that. And he's done a lot of cycling in the area, so he can, you know, really set up with those routes. And then also, so we'll work with you, and then work with the food as well. So if people have dietary concerns, we can work with you on the dietary aspect of that. And then with community events, you know, we've been partnering with various events that have happened before, both food and sport. And we also have some ideas to create some new tours as well, which is we're quite excited about. We have lots of ideas, just there's just two of us, so we're going to have to roll them out. So in terms of what we can offer in the winter, to start off with, you know, we have about 7 kilometers of trails on our farm. So the winter, you know, our activities will really be focused on our farm. So we would offer snowshoeing. There's fat biking, which if you see in the bottom left-hand corner, it's basically a mountain bike with a really fat tire. So you can, it's pretty fun, and you can, you can bike on a nice hard packed trail. So that would be really the focus of the recreation. We also have a great tobogganing hill. So that's in the corner, there's my niece in the top left and my mom in the middle. So we usually have a lot of fun tobogganing, and then doing things like maybe not, we won't be set up for this winter, but next winter, you know, getting a heated wall tent so that you can, you know, we can do a snowshoe into the woods, have a nice hot meal in the heated wall tent, and snowshoe out, you know, whether that's for people staying here or it ends up being a day event for a specific group. You know, that's something that we're looking at offering. And then again, a day event. So if people aren't staying here, or if a group such as yourselves, you know, if you wanted to learn more about fat biking, you know, getting, you know, partnering with one of the bike stores so that they can bring their rental fleet of fat bikes here and give a chance to, you know, so people can try it out and learn, you know, what it's all about. And we've got hilly terrain, but we also have some flat terrain as well. So, thinking about some day events like that.
Can we just stop for a moment and see if there are any questions? I'm interested in the day events for the group, for the members. If they wanted to do a 1 or 2 day event, so you accommodate them overnight, or?
Yeah, so I'll get to the accommodation piece. With the accommodation, we can see 12 people, so it is limited. So the numbers are limited in terms of that, but that's basically the number of people we'll be able to have stay over.
How many did you say? 12?
12.
Okay.
So it's not a huge accommodation.
Okay. Day events, you know, could you accommodate, say, 20?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got now, especially with the accommodation, we'll have washrooms in the building, so people could go in and use the washroom in the building. And if it's a full day event, then we can look at doing food. You know, if you wanted to do a lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
The food, and then we have, you know, we have I've got a photo of it, but we have a big outdoor porch. Or if it's in the winter, you know, we want to have an outdoor fire or something like that, then that's definitely a potential too.
Can you, does anyone have any questions? You're just going to have to unmute, because unless we go to gallery. So seaside, oops. Let's see. I'll go full screen, see. Are there any questions, Jill?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you have any walking events?
We don't have any walking events specifically, but with the 7 kilometers of trail, it's not an extensive hike, I would say, but if you wanted to come and do a walk, you know, with a group of people, then we could definitely arrange that.
Okay. Debbie, do you have a question?
Yes. My first question was already answered. I wanted to know if we came for a day trip, if, you know, you could sit out by a bonfire or something, but you already answered that. And then my other question was, if we wanted to come out, you know, and do a snowshoe and then maybe go tobogganing, do we need to bring our own toboggan also, or crazy carpets, or do you have that?
That's a great question. We have they're the wooden toboggans, so 2 wooden toboggans and 2 discs. We would probably get a couple of other, whether it's crazy carpets or something else, we'd probably get a couple more. But it's a great question in that in terms of snowshoeing, we definitely foresee in the future of getting some snowshoes that we can have here that people can use. But with being a startup, we don't have the budget yet to buy that. So right now we would need to operate on the basis that people bring their own equipment, so their own snowshoes or their own bicycle or something like that. But hopefully in the as we get more set up, we would have, you know, a range of snowshoes that people could borrow to go out for a snowshoe.
Nicole, go ahead.
Sorry, I joined in late, so I just wanted to hear where you are located again, because I think I missed that.
Yeah, so we're in Burks Falls. We're about 15 minutes outside of the town of Burks Falls. So I think it takes me about an hour to drive to North Bay.
Okay. Did I see anyone else with questions?
I don't have a question, but I just a comment. I'm awfully glad to hear that you're thinking about doing a group trip out there, Harriet, because I'm definitely interested in doing something like this.
Yeah, I think if it were winter, it would probably be closer when it's a little bit warmer, because, you know, we're really subject to overnight changes in the weather now, eh? So, but well, I'll think on that one. It might be maybe late February, March. I usually find that they are the better times for winter excursions. But
And Harriet, would we be in a position to maybe rent a small bus or something so that we're all traveling
No.
together?
No, it's cost prohibitive. That's what Elaine Kennedy tells me. It's really, really expensive. So we might carpool though. That's what we've been doing. We actually went to South River and did an excursion to, oh shoot.
Crystal Cave.
The Crystal Cave Museum, and it was just phenomenal. And it was just a wonderful trip. If you haven't been there, go, because it's quite it's just a very just passionate people like Julia, you know, that are out there in our own community doing these wonderful things. So that's my hope. I'd like to make a summer visit, bring our own bikes.
I have a question.
Okay, just a minute, just a moment. Dorothy, bring our own bikes perhaps in July, if that were good, and buy some food and maybe stay for lunch. We could make a nice day of that and do 7 kilometers back and forth. That's 14 kilometers. Hey, you know, they're Julia, probably, we do bike in the summer, so
Okay.
there's lots of opportunity there. But go ahead, Dorothy, with your question.
I was just wondering, everything is outdoors, so you don't have the COVID restrictions?
Well, yeah, we will. So I will speak to that a little bit at the end. I was going to talk a little bit about that at the end of the presentation. Just we might need to modify starting out. We're still finishing the accommodation. We were supposed to be open January 1st, but we've just been so delayed. So we are hoping that will happen. Our accommodation will be open by the end of January. But depending on where things are at, we're just kind of waiting to see where things are at. As I'll explain with the accommodation piece as to what some of our options are with opening.
Okay. Any other questions? I don't see any.
I just have one question, Harriet.
Okay, Debbie, go ahead.
Are you open 7 days a week?
We will be. I think we'll be. I don't anticipate like we will be doing day events, but we're going to have to, you know, it'll be a matter of organizing people, you know, so we're just having sort of one group at a time that we can focus on. So organizing it so that, you know, people are going to end up booking whatever time, you know, so we'll have one group in at a time kind of thing. So that's how we're looking at functioning, just because it is a smaller accommodation and that sort of thing. And especially with COVID, we won't be mixing groups like we thought we might be. So That's one of the restrictions we'll be under a little bit more.
So everything right now is by appointment only?
Yes, yeah, it's not, we don't really have a drop-in, like it's not, because of our trail system, right now the trail system is more guided versus, yeah, it's, we don't envision it being a place where people will just show up and go for a hike. It's very much like, if you want to come for a day, we'll work with you to set that day up. More like a planned experience than an open public facility. That's a whole level of insurance. Like it's just very different for insurance and a lot more liability.
Absolutely. So, okay, Julia, let's continue. I just thought it's nice after 20 minutes to go like this, up, get
Yeah.
up, stand up, everybody. Everybody up, stand up for a minute. Shake your legs out, bend your knees. And then have a seat. And away we go.
Perfect. Okay. So so for summer and fall, our main will be the cycling. A lot of that cycling will be road, so pavement or gravel cycling. We have the trails on site, but they're mountain biking, and I would say, you know, I can mountain bike and participate in some events, but there's a lot of really challenging areas due to our terrain. So for the most part, you know, we would be focusing on, we have a big extensive network of roads around us and fairly low traffic. So that's where we would focus the cycling. As I mentioned, there's the adventure racing. That in itself is another level of insurance. So we probably wouldn't be offering adventure racing all the time. But if, say, a group wanted to do a certain aspect of it, of trying out, of planning for an adventure race. So say you wanted to orienteer while doing some hiking or orienteer while doing some road cycling, then we could definitely set that up, or just orienteering in the farm field to learn how to use a map and a compass and go to different checkpoints right on the farm. We can set that up, and Rob would be the one that would be teaching that portion of it. Something that we're moving towards, but we won't be doing right away as farm dinners. So doing farm dinners right in our farm field. That's going to require, I think we'll need a separate sort of sheltered pavilion for that, and a lot of work with the health inspector just to get it set up and make sure that we're abiding by all of the health regulations. So that wouldn't be for this necessarily this summer or fall, but towards in the next year. And then workshops and tours. So some of the workshops that I would be doing is, you know, I want to do some gardening workshops. So how to garden in a more ecologically friendly manner. Also having other guest speakers in. So maybe it's a guided plant walk, or how to identify mushrooms, that kind of thing, having other naturalists come in. And then some tour ideas. You know, Rob has lots of ideas for cycling tours. So we have a lot of artists in our area and they're fairly spread out. So doing a cycling tour that involves going to different studios, or doing one, you know, partnering with a few different farms so that you cycle between the farms and do, you know, a small activity at each one. So we've got lots of ideas for, you know, doing some more kind of event type things. And again, you know, with COVID, we kind of put the hold on everything just, you know, to see how it would go. But hopefully, over the next few years, we'll be able to get back into some things. So this is our accommodation. So our accommodation, as I mentioned, it sleeps 12. The outside is pretty much finished, but inside we're just, you know, final electrical hookup, final plumbing, final HVAC. We're just waiting on contractors. So that's where we're at. Everyone's really backed up. So as I said, we were hoping to be open in the new year, but hopefully by end of January, things will come in. So just in the top left photo, all of the bedrooms are upstairs. So we sleep 12. And when we started this project, it was pre-COVID. So it's very much a shared space. So that there's 2 large bedrooms, and in those bedrooms, each of those bedrooms seats 10 people. So it's a bunk bed style. So each room has a double single bunk and then a single bunk. So we've got 2 bedrooms with the bunk beds, and then we have 1 bedroom that has a queen bed. We worked with an Ontario company that builds bunk beds. So they're not bunk beds designed for kids, they're designed to hold adults. So that was the other thing that was quite important to us. And all of the mattresses, like we went with an ecological mattress company. We're getting sustainably created sheets. So all of those kinds of things we're being really mindful on. All the paint we've used is zero VOC, trying to make everything as ecological as possible. The washrooms are on the upper floor, so there's 2 washrooms. Each washroom has a shower. One bathroom smaller, the other bathroom is a little bit larger. And then on the main floor, we have some storage down there, but the main room is a commercial kitchen with sort of a dining hangout space. So our commercial kitchen, we're also waiting on our commercial kitchen fixtures. So all of the sinks and things are being installed. And then, as you can see in that top left photo, we have quite an extensive porch, which we'll be screening in. So that is the one side, and then just the other photo on the bottom there, that's where you would pull in and park. So we've got lots of parking space, and that was taken this fall before the snow came. So we're almost there. We're just not quite.
Well, you know what? We like adventure, I think. Look at the smile. Yeah. And well, I know we do, because for 25 years we've been doing mystery tours, and that's where people got on a bus and didn't know where they were going. And came along anyway, so for the day. So maybe I'm thinking right now that about the process of all of this, but I'm thinking maybe you and I could talk about what this might look like, and then those who are interested would meet with me and hammer out what we think everyone would, we'd have to get a consensus on what they would like to do, and put a price on and get back to you on that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, yeah, like a day, like what we would have the capacity, without the parking lot is there and it's plowed. So our capacity, before we open the accommodation, doing a half day or a day that involves, some sort of snowshoeing, an outdoor fire, nice hot soup, something like that is definitely within our realm. So.
Okay. And the other thing is it would probably be either a Friday, it would probably be a Friday, because I have my commitments for the regular program from Monday to Thursday, but it would probably be a Friday.
Yeah, so that would be fine.
Debbie has a question. Go ahead, Debbie, and then we'll get on with the presentation.
Okay, thanks. I'm just curious. I'm assuming your accommodation building has hydro, and specifically, I'm wondering if you can accommodate people with CPAP machines.
We do have hydro. I'm not familiar with a CPAP machine.
It's a breathing for people who have sleep apnea.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, there are electrical outlets. I'm not sure what the electrical requirements for those are, but we have regular outlets in each bedroom. I believe that with the especially in the rooms that have the bunk beds, between the bunk beds, there's a place for a night table, and I believe there's an electrical outlet very close by.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Carry on, Julia.
Sure. So with the accommodation, with the way that we set it up pre-COVID was that, people would could be out doing their recreation, and I would be in that commercial kitchen space doing the food, doing breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of the meals. But just with the way COVID has been, we've been trying to brainstorm how we might do some meals, but maybe I'm not in that space all the time. So it might, starting out, depending on where things are at, it might be more, we might have a list of, this is what we can have ready in the fridge for you. If it's the summer and it's a season that we're, maybe we're particularly busy for a couple of weeks with a certain project on the farm, it might be more, here's a list of seasonal produce that you can buy to have ready, washed and ready in your fridge for you for your stay. So we're really kind of, experimenting a little bit, just to sort of see what happens down the line. So yeah, in our busier times, we may not offer a full suite of food. Also in terms of cost, if it's if it's a very small group, if it's 4 people staying as opposed to 12, it might make more sense financially to just offer some prepared things and vegetables in the fridge, as opposed to doing, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's just a whole other, level of cost for us. So, so those are some things that we've been talking about, just to try to keep everybody, safe and feeling comfortable. And then we had originally envisioned that different people would book bedrooms out, but obviously we will book the accommodation out to a single group at a time. Again, just so that there's not different people coming, so you don't have someone coming in from Toronto and someone coming over from Ottawa, or something like that, where people are mixing as much.
Julia, if it were a women 10 excursion, it would be a day excursion. That then if groups wanted to do a family or a friend adventure, that would be up to them.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, book as a group and go from there. So so I think that is I think that's all that I had to share on the accommodation piece. And yeah, because we haven't opened yet and we haven't started all of this, we want to just start a little bit more slowly to make sure that we have the capacity to handle. We'll have someone working full-time on the farm this year for the first time in a few years, which will be great. But we just need to make sure that we can manage everything. Rob works full-time like Tuesday to Thursday off the farm, so just need to make sure that we really can handle that, everything that we're planning on doing, for sure. So, and then that was about all I had planned for the accommodation, or for the presentation and accommodation. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. This is all of our contact information here. So our website, our email address, and then both businesses are on Instagram. We're both on Facebook as well.
Is that there it is right there. Okay.
Yeah.
I took a screenshot. I hope you don't mind, and I'll send it to the group.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, this is so great.
And we what I should mention as well is, our whole idea behind the business is very activity based and experience based, but we've been in the build process for a few years. We also just have we have a rural property, and it's a fairly peaceful setting most of the time. So if people just want to come and book the building and relax and not do anything, that's totally fine with us. It doesn't always have to be activity based. It can just be, staying at the building, taking a walk around the garden in the day, that kind of thing, is reading on the porch. Like, that is all possible as well. So that's fine.
Julia, would you mind opening to a gallery, and then we can answer a few questions or chat with the group? There we go. I've experienced the vegetables, and I got to tell you, like I said, I don't know what soil you have there. It's definitely good soil. And do you want to talk about some of the things that you grow?
Sure. Yeah, we try to grow whatever we can. So we do a lot of greens. So salad greens, but also some of the hardier greens as well. So in the spring we do, arugula. In the fall we have, mustard greens and spinach and pak choy, some of those nice hardy greens to keep us warm for the winter. We do a lot of root vegetables, so carrot, beet. We do some turnip as well, onions, garlic. We have 2 100-foot, they're called caterpillar tunnels. So they are not, they look like a greenhouse, but you can move them. They're just a single layer plastic, so they're not heated. They're actually quite, once we get into frost season, there's not a huge difference between the plants being outside than inside, but you can move it over the plant. So it just gives us a bit of an early start in the spring, and it lets us, typically we've been able to do tomatoes and cucumbers in the tunnels until Thanksgiving, which we weren't able to before, which is really great. So two of those, so we do tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplant, sweet peppers, do a little bit of hot pepper, Swiss chard, kale. We pretty much grow whatever we can. We do a fair number of cut flowers. Next year we are, we're putting a larger section of our garden into cover crop. We're going to tarp it for a little while and then cover crop it. So we won't grow as many flowers next year as we typically do, but we still have that. And we do corn as well. We do corn on the sweet corn.
I'm hungry already. Can you tell us about CSA, about that's a weekly pickup, or is it bi-weekly, or what is it?
Yeah, so we I haven't set it up for this year yet, but what we did last year is we did a 16-week CSA share.
Can you explain what CSA once more, please?
Yeah, so CSA is community supported agriculture. So the idea with that is that as a customer, you would buy into our farm. So you would buy a share essentially. So for example, my shares last year were $480. So in return for that share, I then provide you with, I believe it was 15 or 16 weeks of vegetables. So it worked out to be about $30 a week on average. And it averages out because obviously in the spring we have less available in terms of diversity. And we have, coming into sort of August, we start to get a lot more. So your weekly shares in the beginning aren't necessarily worth that $30. But as you get into the summer fall, the weekly shares you get are more than that $30. So that's what it kind of works out to be. So we offered an on-farm pickup. So last year our on-farm pickup was Tuesdays. So between, I think it was 1 and 6 p.m. you could come to the farm and we would have all of the vegetables ready, and we just had our little farm tent set up. So you come to the farm and then I would get all your vegetables out on a stainless steel baking tray, put that out on the table, and then our CSA customers bring their own bags and they bag up all their produce, and then I can sanitize and clean that tray that I put the vegetables on. So it also allows us, as an organic farm, we try to use as little packaging and waste as possible. I always have plastic bags and paper bags on site in case people forget, but that's a big goal of ours. And the principle behind the CSA is that, in the spring as farmers, we have to, we buy our seed, we buy our, we bring in compost here. There's a lot of upfront costs before we actually start selling our produce. So you've got to buy all that stuff, and then you've got to plant, and then you have to wait for your harvest. So the benefit of a CSA is that when you purchase a CSA, we get that money sort of end of winter, early spring. So it helps us cover those costs until those vegetables grow. It just helps with our cash flow. But what I also really love about it is you get to know your customers. Sometimes when you sell, you don't always get to meet the people that are eating the food that you grow. So you get to know how your food is grown and who's growing it. You get to know that farmer, and in turn, we get to talk to you and, see, what vegetables you're enjoying. If there's a particular variety you really like, we get to interact with you on it just on a much different level. So there's a lot of things that I like about a CSA for sure.
It's appealing to me too, to tell you the truth. How many, do you have any spaces left for CSA?
Yes, we do have some spaces left for CSA. So I'll be kind of, what I do in the winter is I go back to my CSA members from the previous year and I see who is going to sign up again. And then once that is, once I have those numbers, then I open it up to the public, and then we add in as many more members as we think we can handle. So.
Okay. Any
I have a
questions?
question with regards to that, Harriet.
Sure, go ahead.
It sounds very interesting. When you get your weekly supply of vegetables, Julia, is it vegetables that are meant for a single person, a husband and wife, or a family, or what's the, I guess, kind of quantity? Would you have to buy more than one share if you're a big family? Just how would that work?
Yeah, so a full share is typically, that would be for a family of probably 4, or
Okay.
if you're a couple and you eat a lot of vegetables, then Rob and I would eat we would have a full CSA because we just eat a fair amount of veggies. If for people who don't eat as many vegetables, a full share might be too much. We have offered, we have done half shares for people who are, single or 2 people. We just have more limited, space in terms of the number of half shares that we offer. So we have about, I think I only do about 10 half shares in a year. There's just, and because with the half shares, I don't want to just, I still want to be able to give those half shares the diversity that the full shares get. So you're getting a smaller quantity with the half share, but you'll still get, it's not like I would split a head of, a bulb of garlic in half and give you half. You still get a full, bulb of garlic, that kind of thing. So that's how we work it. If you were a really big family or larger than 4 people, then you might want more than the full share. Some people will share as well. So they might get a share and they split it between friends or neighbors. People have done that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Debbie?
Okay.
Callahan?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. I just had to unmute. My first question is, in the future, with all the land that you have, did you ever consider renting out space for people to garden on their own?
We have, I've thought a little bit about that. We have, it's about 10 acres of meadow, a lot which is growing in. It might be something that we think about in the future. Our challenges would be, we have a very specific watering system. So it's not necessarily, it's not like you could just go and turn on a hose. We have a solar powered gravity fed system. So it's pretty specific in how it runs. We don't have any, in our main acreage, we don't have any hydro. So we have to set everything up in a pretty specific way. So that's sort of the one challenge to it. The other thing that I kind of struggle with is our fields around our main acreage. It's covered in milkweed and goldenrod and asters, all of these wonderful meadow plants that really help support pollinators. So that's another area that I'd just like to leave certain areas untouched so that we can foster that. But it's just, I'm definitely interested in helping people grow their own gardens and things like that, and helped out the Near North Enviro Education Center was looking at, they're in Sundridge, and they started a community garden. So I was helping out on that committee a little bit to get people set up and growing. So a lot of our neighbors here have we're in more of a rural setting, so a lot of people here already have that opportunity to have a garden, and most people do. But yeah, maybe if there were some specific folks interested, it might be something we think about, but it's a little tricky with the setup.
Right. And my second question was, with Rob working, you said Tuesday to Thursday or Friday, is it off
It's
site?
Tuesday to Friday. He teleworks, so it's actually, sorry, I said Tuesday to Thursday. He works Tuesday to Friday here, but he does have vacation and the ability to take days off. So as long as, if there was a day event booked for, say, a lot of the, like for snowshoeing, that's something that I can cover. But in terms of the orienteering, if there was a day that you wanted to do orienteering, then we would plan for that and
Work around it.
that
schedule.
work around it. Yep, exactly.
Okay, thanks.
Questions? I'm thinking this would be great, if you have your family up visiting and you want to bring your family for a day adventure, that would be just fantastic. So you're receptive to children?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, like with that sort of, we anticipate with the accommodation, our busiest times will be the weekends. So it's more of just, if we have people staying here and we're doing programming with them already, we probably wouldn't be able to offer something like a day event. We'd have to kind of mix that in and plan it as it went. But yeah, definitely open to children for sure. We wanted to be open for, we'd love to make our accommodation pet friendly, but I think just in order to keep the space comfortable for everybody, like who has pet allergies, we will make our accommodation, we won't have pets in the accommodation, just for that reason that people do have allergies. We have our own dog and she's on site, so we also, she's very friendly, but we don't want people's dogs, could be interesting. We don't want people's dogs running out on the road or trying to chase each other. And yeah, we are on an active road, so.
You're going to be busy enough.
I have one question. If like a group of women were wanting to rent there, are people allowed to use the kitchen then independently of you? Like,
yes.
It would be almost like an Airbnb, I guess. Then that would work.
Yep, exactly. And we definitely anticipated, especially those times that we're really busy, as we would probably exactly. You can just use the kitchen yourselves, and there'll be equipment in there that you can use, pots, pans, all that kind of stuff. And you can just bring your own food. And, if we've got stuff for sale, we can let you know. But yeah, definitely open it up. And to be honest, just learning how the building works and getting our feet under us, just listing on Airbnb and having people rent it out is a great way to start.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there anything you'd like to add, Julia?
I can't think of anything at this time.
Okay, you've got your hands full. That's quite an undertaking. But I'm just thrilled to have you on and sharing your commitment to the environment and to sustainability, which is really important right now. And I hope that we have this opportunity to go down and visit you. I'll put it out to the group and we'll see what happens.
Well, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. I'll call you and we'll have a chat about where this goes from here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll send you the link too.
Perfect.
Julia.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Okay.
Enjoy, stay warm over the next couple days.
Yes, we will. We will.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.